I'm Rhiannon Pratchett, I'm the lead writer of Tomb Raider. I'm sorry I can't be with you today, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my role in the game and the reimagining of Lara Croft. We definitely wanted to keep the traits that players associate with Lara, such as bravery, resourcefulness, resilience, etc. And rewind them to a point where they're buried deeper below the surface inside her. So even she's not really conscious of what she's capable of doing. And throughout the game, her actions and her reactions to her reactions, they bring these traits to the surface, and you see them emerge, and you're on that journey with her as they emerge. And we also felt that Lara had become a bit of a sort of untouchable ice queen over the years, and we used to call her Teflon Lara because nothing really stuck to her, nothing really changed her, nothing really touched her. And that was kind of something we wanted to look at. We wanted to explore the humanity behind that. We wanted to look at her sense of empathy, her friendships, and what made her tick as a person. And something that I was conscious of when I came on board was the fact that she has sort of a very kind of playgirl reputation, kind of jetting around the world, you know, throwing money left, right and centre, and sort of stealing ancient artefacts for the hell of it. And I didn't really feel that was that relatable in this climate anymore, and so that was something that I wanted to address or explore a little more, and kind of really what was behind that, and who Lara was as a person. And she definitely has a different relationship with her wealth than previous Lara's told. So she still comes from a wealthy family, but she hasn't touched that wealth, or chooses not to touch that wealth. She sort of even puts it away in investments and trusts, so she can't touch it because her parents are missing. She has access to it, but she doesn't want to touch it. She wants to make her own way in the world and tread her own path. She's very self-reliant in that way, but also touching that money is admitting to herself that they're really gone. So for those reasons, she goes her own way. She puts herself through university. She works several jobs to do so, and she has a very different relationship with that wealth. But as I said, we did keep a lot of the Lara's original traits, but we did sort of look at a period where those traits really sort of came to the surface, because that was the most creatively interesting for us. You can't please everyone at the end of the day, and some players will always want their video game heroes to be infallible, and that's fine, but from a creative standpoint it's not terribly interesting. And I think if video games characters are ever going to evolve, then they need to be taken seriously as characters. And for me, it's not really about taking anything away from Lara, it's about showing where those strengths come from. Because you never really get true bravery without fear, and it's that sort of place we wanted to explore. And I don't think it should be seen as a weakness that someone is scared and learns to overcome it. That should be celebrated, really. And it was that journey, and it is a journey for Lara. This game is all about the journey. It is all about story and gameplay coming together to support this journey. And that's kind of what we wanted to show all the way along. I think allowing players to be on that journey, either with Lara or as Lara, is a very, very powerful experience. With that scene, it was largely being judged out of context because so few people had actually played that section of the game, and so it just became assumptions about why it was put in there, who was behind it, what they were thinking at the time, and there were so few reactions out there that were actually based on what there was in the game. And so all I could do, because I wasn't announced the writer at the time, was sort of watch this unfold. And although I absolutely understand people's issues with it, it did sort of almost spiral a little bit out of control until it just became an echo chamber of assumption on assumption, and that was a bit disheartening to see from a creative standpoint. But there wasn't really much I could do about it or address about it until I did get Nelson as a writer and could talk more about what we were trying to do with that scene and the fact that it is part of a larger whole, it is part of her whole journey and not one transformative moment that suddenly changes her into a badass. And now that players have kind of got to experience it, I mean, that's what we wanted all along. It is about context, it is about seeing sort of everything together and seeing the whole picture. Originally, we had more scenes on the Endurance at the start, where you would see Lara, you would see the rest of the crew, you get an idea of the expedition they were going on, and it was quite linear in that sense. But we found that there was actually quite a lot to get across right at the start, and what we wanted to do was to get players into the game as quick as possible. So that meant we actually just had the small section at the start, which is on the Endurance, and the ship sails into the storm and starts breaking apart, and then she kind of gets washed up on the shore, and then you're into it, waking up, hanging upside down in the cave. And that got players into the action very fast. It was also a little bit disorientating, which is actually good in some ways, because it sort of mirrored the disorientation that Lara's going through, and trying to get player and player character on the same level is always a really beneficial thing to be able to achieve. And so we decided to put those scenes a little bit later. We decided to put them via a video camera, Sam's video camera, which Lara finds on while she's exploring the island. And she views them in quieter moments, and it allows her to reflect on her own sense of guilt, and also the stakes that are important to her, that the people around her, the friendships she's made, and the people that motivate her. And so it actually worked very well, even though we weren't doing it in a linear fashion. It worked well to get the player into the game at the start, and then use these scenes from the past as kind of little kind of emotional triggers and underlying the character's state of mind at the time. So that worked very well. Obviously, I look into the future and how players react to Lara. I hope they like her. I hope they find her more relatable, maybe a more textured character than she's been in the past. And they enjoy discovering this piece of the puzzle that's not been shown in the Tomb Raider games before. I hope that they find it entertaining, absorbing, interesting character journey to be part of. I hope this causes them to look at video games characters in the future and maybe demand more of them in terms of diversity, gender, narrative focus. And I also hope other developers look towards their characters and think how better they can serve the audience in ways other than being a pretty thing to look at.